Okay, here's what's going through my mind. I'm first looking at Noreen, and I'm going to decide which way, if I'm going to turn her face, which way am I going to turn her face? Do you have any preference? Would you turn her face in this direction, or would you turn her face in this direction? Why would you turn her face in this direction? To go into the bangs. Okay, so if she's going to turn her face in this direction, and because of her hair like that, which side do you think he would look best on? If we're going to bring their faces close together, is he going to be on this side of her, or is he going to be on this side of her?
That side.
Why?
Because she's going to be facing her.
Okay, so if we're going to put him on this side, that automatically has to tell me to begin with the light is going to come from where? If the light crosses over the girl, all right, the light crosses over her, the light's going to come from this side, and he's going to be right here. So we're going to start out this way. I may end up with two together actually turning her face this way. I'll tell you why. Because of her hair. Because if I'm going to bring him in close to her, I'm not going to be able to bring him in close to here because her hair is going to be getting in the way. So if I were doing a portrait of her alone, her face would be turned in this direction. If I'm doing a picture of the two of them together, it's going to be the exact opposite. These are the things that you have to think out before you even begin. So if they're going to be standing as we are standing now, the light is going to come from this side, crossing over her body, turning her face to this shoulder, and they could be together like this, or he could be looking at her, and it's all planned. I'm visualizing these things prior to even setting up the camera or asking them to be seated.
Now, do you light on either side, right or left? Does it matter to you?
It doesn't matter to me, except I have to know whether they're going to turn their faces this way or this way. So I would definitely not always start with the light on one side or the other. So the decision is, if we do a portrait of herself, the main light's going to come on this side. If we do a picture of the two of them together, the light's going to come from that side. So we're going to seat him so that his mouth is somewhere between the level of her mouth and her eyes. If I'm doing a formal type of study, I probably would have his mouth somewhere near the level of her eyes. But as I get more and more intimate into the posing, I'm going to bring their lips closer together. I'm never going to photograph one person kissing another in a formal portrait, because when somebody kisses and they pucker up their lips, it distorts the face. I'm going to just touch his lips to her face.
For couples, we're always switching the lights back and forth. The beauty of these two boom arms, at the same intensity, one can be a hair light, one can be a main. If we want to switch it, we don't have to drag the light around in front. We just switch them like that, back and forth.
Here's the way we're going to start this. I'm setting up the stools sufficiently far enough apart so they can lean to each other. I'm not going to start couples right next to each other because their bodies have no way to lean towards one another. So she's going to lean this way and he's going to lean this way, so their heads meet before the bodies push into each other. This is whether the young, slim couples or especially with heavier people. We're always leaning them this way and pulling their chins forward towards the camera. They're leaning across the belt buckle. Instead of tipping their heads to each other, as we used to do, we're never going to be able to get the correct lighting pattern on both faces. The only way we can get the same lighting pattern on both faces is if we tip both heads and turn them to the light at the same angle. So her head is tipped back in the feminine pose that we discussed yesterday, with her head turned and tipped to the high shoulder. His body and his head are both going in the same direction, and they're always facing the light. We're always turning heads towards the light. With her head turned and tipped to her higher shoulder, we can turn her body away from the light, lean her this way, and turn her face back to the light. His body, on the other hand, should face the light and his head go with it. We're going to tip his head slightly to his lower shoulder. The actual angle at which we tip the head is putting the head perpendicular to the slope of his shoulders. So we've got the camera, we've got the basic lighting set up, so let's take a look and see how this is going to work. You know what I would love to do, Clay?
What's that?
Is I would love to have a little extra strobe light, if we
Light her
can,
dress?
to light the velvet on her dress. And Don, I'm going to call you in to help me this. Because last year, Don photographed my black dog, not by throwing a lot of light on him, but a very small, weak light crossing over the fur brought out the light. And I would like you to light her gown for me. I'd like to see how you do it. I'll put them together, and then you just add that for me. So we're going to bring you together, just leaning in this way. Put your arm behind her, and I'm going to bring her elbow out here to fill in that space. But here's the key to this whole thing. We have to turn her body sufficiently enough to the side so that her right shoulder does not separate the two heads. So we're going to lift you up, excuse me for doing that to you, and just bring your head in real close and pull this shoulder back just a tiny bit. I would like to see him higher, so if you'll stand up just for a moment. You're not going to be able to sit here and keep both your feet on the ground, Dave, so just sit on the edge.
Front of the back one on the ground.
You're going to, doesn't matter, let me see. They're both on the ground. Just on the edge, and you're going to bring her in like that. No, I keep pulling the stool out, and you keep pulling it in to be close. I don't want you to be comfortable, I want you to look good. So, so leave it right where it is, and then instead of pulling the stool in, you'll lean your body in to her and sit up. Now with your right hand, take this jacket and keep pulling it down so that everything is straight there. That's it. You see now, with both heads going in the same direction, how easy it is to light both faces with a single light, and the light pattern on their face is identical. Dave, pull your right shoulder back some, and get your, lean towards him, Noreen. Dave, tip your head to your, turn your face to her just a little bit. Tip the top of your head to her. Pick your chin up. Let your head rest on her, Dave. That's it. Now bring your chin down just a tiny bit. And look about an inch higher from where you're looking. Noreen, look about an inch higher. And Noreen, look to the left just a just a little bit. I can't get the camera up here quite high enough. But I'm not going to fool around with that. I just wanted to give you an idea of how we're bringing the heads together parallel. With this reflector in place and this fill light going at 2 f-stops less, those shadows should open up just the way we want them to look. Noreen, don't tip your head quite so much. I'm getting a full, that's good. And both of you looking right up here at the top of my head. Just a hint of a smile in your eyes only, Dave. Don't forget, don't relax. That's it, just relax. Dave, your chin up just a tiny bit. And Noreen, your face to the left, just a tiny touch. I'm looking right up here at the top of my head. Your lips closed, Dave.
Look how simple it is. Keep the heads parallel to each other and pass the light right in front of them towards the reflector for even illumination.
I'd like to add 2 things to that. Number 1, using that reflector keeps the relationship of that very small light and the reflector consistent. Number 2, we use the reflector underneath a lot. And number 3, if we do a profile, this reflector has to be there to block the light from hitting our lens. So we would never go out on location without the the illuminator, the Monty illuminator. Okay, so that's what we're doing there.
Noreen, your face to the left a tiny bit more, a little bit more. Now get in, lean in closer to him. That's it. Noreen, your eyes down to the ground. That, and your chin down a little bit. Just a little bit more. Dave, reach your chin out to her just a little bit more. Great. What I need to do is light her hair. I'm not getting any light on her hair over here.
Okay. That's a veil light over there. We've just turned it away. Right, I need it to be on to keep the ratios the same.
You can also, if you can, backlight her hair just a little bit with that veil light. And I'm seeing a little bit of space where his right in through here.
If I do this.
So just bring your shoulder around more. That's, let me see, it may be too much, but you're just going to have to be careful. That's good.
It's not in your lens right now.
Okay, now Noreen, turn your face to the left again. Noreen, look up at me. Don't move a thing. That's it. Turn your face to him. Let your noses just barely touch. Nah, it's not going to work because of a lot of things, but we'll do something like that later on. Okay, thank you. Let's work with the other couple. How about a hand for the two? What I want to show you is, don't just take one picture and break the pose. Just work it. That was both of them looking straight into the camera. We turned her to 2/3 and put his profile over her. She was looking down. When she's looking down, she's not looking down to the ground right here where her eyes look closed. She's looking out about 3 or 4 feet away so I can still see her eyes. And then she has such beautiful eyes, I just ask you, Doreen, look up at me.
The key to this is to have both faces turned towards the light. If they look at each other, one of them is in shadow. Let's take a look at another couple.
Her bangs are on the same side of her face. Mark is not going to look good no matter what we do with him, so... I think the less we see of Mark's face, the better off we're going to be. All right. So let's put him behind her, and we'll develop the same togetherness we were doing with the previous couple. Now we know that if we're going to do a profile of her, we're going to turn her face so that the bangs are to the camera. So that means that this light, which was originally the hair light, is now going to become the main light. Just understand what I'm thinking. I visualize the whole picture complete before I even begin. So the hair light now becomes our main light. That's what's wonderful about working with the boom arms. Plus, in addition, you're going to find that a lot of times we're lighting from straight above with like a, what do you call that, butterfly lighting, where the nose shadow comes straight down. You can't bring the light close to the camera if it's on a stand because the stand will be in the photograph. So let's work this way just to begin with. So understand that this chair is directly behind hers. They're not side by side the way they were now. So we'll turn her back, and we're going to lean her which way? We're going to lean her towards me. Okay. For a back profiling, come up real tall. She's at a 45-degree angle, and he's basically coming straight into the camera. I'm going to bring the hair light to light her hair, but I don't want to highlight the shadowed side of his face. Now we're going to bring the profile lighting in. It's the same as lighting her full face. The reflector will block the light from shining into the camera, and at the same time it'll open up the shadows. If you're not using a fill light, you have to realize this is a mirror. If it's facing too much to the light, it's just going to push the light right back to where it's coming from, so it's got to open up. Come up high. And can you come up higher still? And again, I want to try keep some of the light off of his forehead here. Norma Jean, look right about here, would you please? You getting in video, Clay? Norma Jean, turn your face to me just a little. That's great. And straighten up and let your shoulders drop. That's good. And looking at her, Dave, tip your head to your right. Mark, tip your head to your right. And your chin up. Norma Jean, your chin up a little bit more. Clay, lower his stool, would you? I'd like their lips to be closer together. Stay just where you are, Mark, and he'll just, that's it. Norma Jean, your face to the left, just it. Your chin down some. Your eyes a little bit higher. That's fine. Mark, your chin up. Tip, but too much. Tip your head to your right and look at her. That's it. Norma Jean, your eyes up just a tiny bit more. Norma Jean's smiling, teeth showing all the way. Smile, all the way. And the eyes up a little higher. Stick your chin out some. They don't want to get... That's it. Now smiling and looking up a little bit higher, getting the light in her eyes.
Some people think this picture is so difficult to set up. All we have to do is ask them to put their arms around each other, and they both lean their faces towards each other. It's as simple as that.
Norma Jean, there you're fine. Mark, turn your face away from me just a fraction. Your eyes to the left and a little bit higher. Norma Jean, lean towards the light a little bit more. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. That's it. Now turn your face back to me just a tiny bit more and your chin down some. That's perfect. I was getting her profile right into the shadowed part of his face. Their noses parallel to each other, and their faces fairly close together. This is probably one of the nicest pictures the two of you have ever had taken together. Now look at the difference. I didn't say to them, do you like the picture? Isn't this one of the best pictures you've ever had? Because never ask a question if you're not sure of the answer. Just tell them how great they look. Don't leave yourself wide open. And if she looks at the picture and she says, I don't like the way I look, say, Norma Jean, just wait 5 years, you're going to love it. We're going to photograph Laura. Then we're going to photograph Laura and her sister Norma Jean. And then we're going to photograph Nora and Norma Jean and don't tell me. Noreen. Okay. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right in a row. And just show you how we build the groups. Never done before in a classroom situation. Okay, we're ready for you. To bring the light in front, I just want to look at her here. I think I'm going to elect, I've got to get this light off. What I'm just doing is deciding which way I'm going to turn her face. She's got great cheekbones, a great jawline. From full face, it almost appears that her jawline is maybe a little bit stronger than I want to photograph. So I'll probably do a 2/3 view of her face. Let me see what happens when you smile and you show your teeth. Got a great smile. So we could get her serious or smiling. And turn your face, please, to your right, and turn your face to your left. I like the hairline on this side, I think. Turn your face the other way again. And turn your face the other way. No, I like the hairline coming in from this side. All right, I'm going to have to be concerned because the way her hair is pulled back, I'm getting a little... What happens if you let your hair down? You can't do it now? Okay, don't worry about it. So I'm going to turn your face this direction. I'm going to do a 2/3 view of her face with her head going in this direction, which means for a 2/3 view of the face, how do her shoulders face the camera? Right, okay. So we're going to put the table in front of her. I may use her hands in the picture, I may not. But let's going to come in through here. Put your arms up on the table, please, Laura. You understand, before I began the picture, I'm starting to think how the finished photograph is going to look. And that's the only way I can know how to set up the pose and the lighting. It may not end up looking anything like we originally thought about, but it doesn't matter. At least I know what I'm going for. I know where to start. So I'll begin just the same way it went through my mind, and who knows where we'll end up, but that's the exciting, fun part about it. It's in your mind. It's what you feel. I can't teach you that. I can teach you full face, 2/3 profile. I can teach you how to get a slight suggestion of a smile by letting someone smile with their eyes. She also, I asked her to smile and show her teeth. She has a beautiful smile, so I know I can get a photograph of her either serious or smiling. I can't teach you something inside. I cannot teach you talent. I cannot teach you feeling. I can, however, let you know that it's okay to express your feelings. I can teach you that it's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve and tell people that you love them, that you feel good about yourself and about them, because that's what brings us together. And as I'm speaking to you, and she hears this, she's getting a flavor of the type of person I am, because she's going to remember this time of her life through my eyes and my heart and my talent. But my talent is no good without technique. So I'm teaching you technique. You have talent or you don't have talent. If you have talent, the technique will take you to the moon. And if you don't have talent, listen, if you shoot for the moon and fall a little bit short, you'll reach the stars. Okay. Did I say that? I'm going to bring this hair light in from the same side that the main light's coming from. And when we bring this light in from behind, it's got to come in perpendicular to the side of her face. So if I'm bringing in a kicker light from here, it comes from a low position. If I'm bringing in a kicker light from here, it comes from a high position. Perpendicular to the side of her face.
And how about intensity?
Intensity, probably, tell me if I'm right, Don, half the power of our main light, because when it comes from behind, it appears much brighter than it actually is.
Roger, and you told me the angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. The farther the light goes, the closer to the background, the intensity appears brighter. You're exactly right. I remember it.
Turn your face to your right, please, Laura. Oh, too much. Just tip your head to your right. That's it. Let your eyes go straight. I'm going to lower her left shoulder by bringing her forward some, but you need to straighten your back up. Yes.
Do you see the difference when she straightened her back up? Big time.
Neck.
Elegance. That's where the regal look comes from.
Let your eyes go. Turn your face to your right just a tiny bit. And turn your face back to me just a fraction. That's it. Let your eyes go right where they were. Let your eyes go to the left a tiny bit. And that's it. Wherever you're looking, look about an inch higher and an inch to the right. That's perfect. Tip your head to the right a tiny bit more. Now bring your face back to me just a fraction. Great. Your chin down just a tiny bit. And let's intensify the hair light.
Now, if you look right now, she's turned her face like straight into the light. So I'm going to shape it a little bit more. I can light all these pictures because I know what to look for. A modified loop shadow.
Tip your head to the right
See
just
that?
a little
little
bit.
shadow under there?
Turn your face back to me just a great. And just bring the light a little bit more forward to me, Clay. That's fine. I'm going to bring the reflector in to open this up just a little bit. You can see how much the camera is being tipped. Your face to the right, that's it. Your eyes a fraction of an inch to the left. That's great. Just a hint of a smile in your eyes now. Just that way, just smiling and laughing, teeth showing and everything. Smiling, teeth all over, that's it.
Look at the difference between the way she was seated and the way she appears in the photograph. All we did was tip the camera to the left to raise that side of the picture.
Now what I've done is I've put one girl in a feminine pose and one girl in a masculine pose, which is going to have both heads going in the same direction now. I've raised her high enough so that the standing person doesn't have to lean over. So let me get a picture of the two of them together. Can you put the reflector back in, Clay? Imogene, look at me just that way. And can you tip your head to her? That's good. Now can you do something with this backlight? It's coming right into my lens. If you can just shield it from the lens, or that's great. Looking right here, just with your lips together. Norma Jean, your face to the right, just a tiny bit, a little bit more. Your lips together, your eyes right in here. Both of you, just a hint of a smile in your eyes.
To make this picture work, we have to seat the lower person up sufficiently high enough so that their heads are almost together before she leans over.
Come right beside her, not behind her. We're going to put you back in a feminine pose like this. Tip your head this way. You're going to be, let's turn for a back two-third view. Turn around towards her. And look here at me. Now come in here more forward. Get your head in closer to her. Norma Jean behind her here. Just bring your head right into here. Lean over and get your head, that's it. We'll probably do a two-third of all three of them. Straighten your back up. You have this light in a little closer to him. Now we're having a little bit of depth of field here, so I'm bringing her forward. And I'm getting the best side of each of the women. Norma Jean, pull your right shoulder all the way around behind her. Still some more. That's it. Still some more. That's it. Your chin up. Turn your face to the right. Norma Jean, tip your head to her just a little bit. Laura, turn your face back to the left. Still some more. That's it. Now look right back where you were. Norma Jean, your face to the right just a little bit. And Marcia, is it? Noreen, I'm sorry. Noreen, your face to the right some. That's it. Your chin up. Eyes a little bit higher. Laura, your chin up. Noreen, your chin up. And just, Noreen, your eyes a fraction higher. Laura, your chin to me just a fraction, a little bit. Noreen, lean in a little closer to her. I'm trying to get, oh, it's your earring there. Noreen, take off your left earring, would you please? Okay, that's fine. Tip your head the other way, to your right. Get your body behind her a little bit more. Tip your head to your right, Noreen. Turn your face back to me, and look, turn your face back to me some more. Tip your head this way, and look back where you were. Your chin up some. Clay, can you get that backlight off of the tip of Noreen's hair? Or just move her hair on the bottom, right by her shoulder. No, the backlight, not the hair light. Okay. Yes. Lower your face to me just a tiny bit. That's it. Now let your eyes go right back where they were. Norma Jean, come forward just a fraction. A little bit more. That's it. You have, and your eyes to the left, Norma Jean. That's perfect. Noreen, your eyes up a little bit higher. Lower your chin up. Okay, just lips together, everybody. And Noreen, your face to the left, just a fraction. And your eyes right back where they were, just a hint of a smile.
Before I even took the picture, their heads were in perfect position, not too far apart. All three in the two-thirds view of their face. Heads turned to the light.
The relationship I established between her eyes to her eyes, if you lean towards her some, I'm going to repeat right above them. I'm going to put one head in the middle and one head right here. So if you, oh, excuse me. So if you come right in here just a tiny bit, and you're going to come around on this side. Did you have something to stand on? I may need another one there. So we'll turn you towards her. Can you spread your legs just, all right, that's all right, stay that way. Okay. We're going to lean you in towards each other. And I'm tipping in feminine and masculine poses both. A woman can be posed with her head turned and tipped to the high shoulder, or in a masculine pose with her head tipped to her low shoulder. So she'll be in a feminine pose to get her head towards the light. She'll be in a masculine pose, and we'll bring Norma Jean in here in a feminine pose. and you're going to come right over here. You have to bring your board up a little bit closer. Up higher. Norma Jean, you're going to end up by bending your knees to come down just a little bit lower. Oh, too much. Clay? Yeah. Can you light their hair for me, please? You're going to all be looking at the camera. So the light's going to come fairly close to camera position. We did 1, 2, we did 3 already, yes, and 4. Just give me space, please, folks. Noreen, straighten your head. Is it Dave? Dave, move your whole body behind her more and come in, just let your head rest on her hair. That's it. Norma Jean, straighten your head up some and come forward some. Noreen, straighten your head this way and come up a little. No, you're tipping your head too much. Come back. Turn your face to your right, Noreen. That's fine. Looking right here. Dave, come forward a tiny bit. Your chin up. You got to get light in his eyes and tip your head this way. Laura, just tip your head this way, just a little bit. And let your left arm come out this way, Laura. That's fine. Okay. I'm getting that light in the picture, Clay. Let me see if I can come down a little bit lower. Wait, because the lighting is good. It's out of the picture. Dave, come forward a little bit. Tip your head just, and your chin up. Look up here, Dave. Your chin down and let your eye. I'm trying to get light into his eyes. Your chin up a little bit more. Okay. Norma Jean, Noreen, your face to the right a little bit. Straighten your head just a tiny bit. Laura, that's fine. Everybody looking right here. Dave, just a hint of a smile. What's happening with the lights here? Okay, looking right here. Dave, come in a little closer. Chin up. Face to the right some. Okay, looking right here at me. Laura, your chin up. Lips together on everybody, just like that. This time smiling. Everybody's smiling. Looking right up here. Norma Jean, Noreen smiling good. That's it. Looking right up here. Dave, you look terrible. Okay. Dave, keep your mouth shut, Dave. Your chin up some, getting light into his eyes. Turn your face to the right. Looking right here again. Noreen, straighten your head a little bit. Turn your face to the right. No, don't too much. Tip your head back the other way. Okay. Now looking right here. Laura smiling. Chin up, Laura. Looking right here. Everybody smiling. Dave, you look good just that way.
The structure of these groups is always predetermined before I begin to set them up. That's why we need to learn the pattern and the rhythm of 1 to 4 people.
Here it is. 1 person, pose any way you want. 2, raise that 1 person up so that the standing person's head is very close to the next one. They don't have to lean over this way. 1, add the second one. Tip both heads parallel to each other and turn them to the light. 3, 1 seated, 2 standing. 4, 2 seated, 1 slightly above the other, 2 standing behind them. Their heads in the same line as the 2 seated people. The 5th person, we're just going to build a pyramid and add the 5th person, we would seat another person. 3 seated, 2 standing. Folks, if you have that down pat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can put together any group in just a matter of moments.
Folks, while Clay's not in the room, I got to tell you, it was really exciting working with him and watching him do his thing. He is so energized, so full of excitement. He picked Don and me up every time we were turning around. He was there. Watch him talk about candid lighting. Watch him talk about candids. There's so much excitement going on in here. I think he creates it, and he captures it in his photographs.
Just going for a little bit more, like on the cake picture, you know? I always see people do the cake picture with the bride and groom just standing straight up and down. Okay, let's do it. And they're cutting the cake. It's no fun. There's no feeling in there. Put your cheeks together. Lean over the cake, you know? Great, look at the top of the cake. Get the smile, get the expression. That's the one. And they make a smaller base for this. We don't need to have it. But if you look on the photogenic posing table, there's a tight caster base. Here's one right here, and Brian will do it for me. You'll just switch that base out with this one. See, if you go to a party with this big base on here, you're not going to have an easy time getting around through all the tables and all those tight situations. This little roll-around base, just the casters, this will come off. That'll give you the opportunity to really roll this thing around. I even have another bracket coming off here. It's called a low boy. So I can take my light, there you go, and I can take the light and take it off of this and put it down low for backlighting. We are using the Quantum batteries. They've been very good for us, and the camera's ready to go. I want to talk about the technique I use and talk about how it's done. I just want to get set up. They didn't tell me that I was going to do candids until, you know, they threw it at me 2 minutes ago. Oh, let's let Clay do the candids. I love it. Yeah, let Clay do that. So here I am. Where are the two big guys, you know? Here they are. This stand right here, it's called a AA34 MS. MS for Monty stand. Now we're cooking right there. This is what I go to a wedding with. Every Saturday night, it's my date every Saturday. At least she's thin. She doesn't eat much. Everywhere I go, I'm rolling this thing around. Now, I used to have other people set my lights for me. And Brian, if you take the radio off of that, we'll plug it in up here. My bracket at home is a little bit different. It's a little bit higher up. Let's see if there's film in here. We don't need film. Okay, let's just take it out. Oh. That's going to be a nice picture. The reason I did that is just so I can crank. Now this camera, pardon me for getting all this set up. And the radio, once we get the radio, I'll go over it. What I'm doing here, I'm using a 60 millimeter lens. The 60 to me is nice because you get in close. You get everything nice without distorting. The perfect height for your radio, for your camera is about waist level. If you're shooting high up, just Velcro right here on the side and plug her in the front. So what you're doing here, you're coming down waist height and you're getting right in for the pictures. Now what I've done is I've gotten myself so far removed from this equipment that I just don't even think about it. I'm looking at the people, I'm working with the people, I'm going for expressions. I'm coaxing expressions. I'm going like pointing to my own smile. Hey, look here. And I noticed that if I started waving my hands at people, they started looking at me waving back. And if I started kicking my legs, they'd kick their legs. I'm putting everything I have into those pictures. I really want to say to myself, if it were my wedding, how would I want to remember it through photographs? As a fun party, everyone having a good time. So a lot of times, now we're working. Every time I do this at a wedding, I'm always trying to put key people together. Put the parents, the family, let them all have fun on the dance floor. Let everybody be as one. Even in, family situations, sometimes sisters don't get along that good through their whole life. But why not for this one day? Why not for this day, let's have fun together. So I'm bringing the sisters together. Put your cheeks together. And they're like, I did this Saturday. And the girls looked at each other. They both stuck their tongues out at each other. I got the picture, and I said, now look at me. And they put their cheeks together. Fun pictures, and they're loving it. And I'm bringing this out in the people. I notice that there's a lot of times where these pictures are happening. I watch other photographers take them, and they're just taking and going through the motions. And if they could get a little bit more excited, those people would give it back to them. It's contagious. You're going to get out of your pictures what you put into it. My camera on flash is set on blue for f8. The blue is an automatic feature where the flash goes out and hits your subject, bounces back, and turns off at f8. Now, if I come in closer than 6 feet, then I have to turn my lens to f16 because there's not enough time for it to shut off. So that's the one rule. If you come in too close for close-ups, go to f16. Otherwise, stay back here at f8. Keep everything f8. f8 is simple. Now, what you have to do is pre-focus your camera. Because if you're trying to get great candids, focusing your camera, you're going to miss all the expressions. So if you're with an 80 millimeter lens on a 2 1/4 square camera, 10 feet at f8. 10 feet is head to toe. If you're doing a dancing picture, head to toe is 10 feet. Bless you. And if I'm using a 60, it's 8 feet. So that's where I usually keep it, f8 at 8. Very simple. So now, all I have to do is create those candids. And I don't have to focus. I don't have to do anything but push the button. And I know what 8 feet is. The good thing about knowing 10 feet is you know 8 feet, 6 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet, because you know what 10 feet is. I think this whole business of candid photography is based on 10 feet, knowing what that is. So here we are. We're at the wedding, and I'm going around looking for candids, making it happen. F8 on camera, F8 on the lens. What are we going to do with this light? We're going to put F11 out of this light. We're going to make this light one stop brighter. So it's a main light. It's going to give us a direction. It's going to give our candids highlight to shadow. So now we're getting a three-dimensional quality to our candids, which is excellent. The whole idea of pointing this light is pointing it just like a portrait. High, 45, coming right across our subjects into the eyes, making sure all the eyes are lit up. What I do is I go in, I see my picture before it happens. I see what's going on, I say, okay, there's the picture. I see it. Wham, my mind, I picture the best candid I can come up with in my life. Thinking, all right, it's going to be fun, everyone's having fun. So now I bring the light in and I set it. Now I go in and say, hey, look here. And I yell, hey, everyone look here, turn around, turn around. I get them here and then right here. And then I just shoot like this. Great, great, one more. And I just get so into it. And they're going like, wow, and they're just going like this, kicking their arms up. And I'm going with it, having fun. Now that's on a big fun party. And I want to create that look. Reimer, if you go in this room here, all those canvases, there's one canvas with a candid with balloons falling. Because I want to tell you about what we're doing now. Because this double lighting was so successful. We were really lighting it up. And everybody, this thing would pop off. We could backlight the veil. We could do monster lighting at bar mitzvahs under the kids' faces. We could do all kinds of fun things. But the customers began complaining that the backgrounds were going dark. They were saying, well, we had this beautiful reception at this beautiful hotel, and they had tapestry wallpaper, and we never saw it in any of the pictures. Or you could never see this, you could never see that. So we started lighting the rooms up. Now, not always will you be this lucky to have a big room like this, where what I did is I went in on a Friday night before the wedding, before the bar mitzvah, and I hung 3 strobe lights on the ceiling, 800 watts apiece. And I went up on a cherry, you know what a cherry picker is? You go way up. So I get up there and I put the new PhotoMaster lights on. 1, 2. I put 2 of them, I'm sorry. 2 of them with 3 heads. Spread them right across there. Wired them on, taped them, put metal on them so they wouldn't fall out during the party. This was like a disco rack that they were putting up anyway. So what we're doing here, I'm up there, I'm tying them on, I go like this, I point them down, I say, okay, let's take a meter reading. And they said, you've got the meter. And I said, oh, I sure do. I said, all right, I'll drop it down to, $700 meter. I said, okay, here I come. So I came down on that cherry picker, and it was up there rocking. I love heights, but this time I really didn't. And I went down, and I said, here we go, let's take that meter reading. And I cleared it, pop, it went off, we got F11. 11.5 to be exact. So I'm thinking, wow, we've got to keep our lens at 8 or 11, or everyone's going to have white hair. So all night long I had to be careful. But there are a couple of candids where I just dropped into that old mode, and I'd open up the 5.6 from a distance to show the whole room. But when they printed them down deep like this, it just looked like the sun was coming down through the building. So their whole album, every time we took a picture. Again, we're on optical slaves up here, and I put radio slave room lights on the corners. So that was setting off the other lights. So what I do now, we've done our portraits, we're through with these lights, so I bring them in here. The beauty is that all the weight's on the floor. I tip them down a little bit, bring this up, just like this, and we come straight up to the ceiling. Now, all right, let's turn our modeling lights on. Here we go. What have we done? We've got a light up here in the ceiling now. With 2 of them, I could put 1 on each corner of the room. So this is what works out great on dance floors. Now I'm shooting my candids, and I think to myself, well, if I stay underneath this light, and if I keep double lighting my candids like I always do, it's going to be great, because this light's just going to open the whole room up. But what I found out is if I was bold enough to shoot into it and let that light come down as a back 45 light, I got hair light on everybody. The candids started jumping off the page because they were separated with this light. Now with the modeling light on there, I can see the flash if it's going to spill into my lens. I've had it spill in the lens, and Monty sells the pictures, and he says, darn, we got that video light in the picture again. Wasn't our fault, that video light, doggone it. There's a lot of pictures in this wedding. Yes, sir? The question is, do I keep the second light at arm's length? I actually keep it at arm's length. I'll bring it over here and place it, and I come about 2 steps off camera. Now, the bigger the group, it's right next to me. Big group's right here, good. It's a little bit low now, so I just bring it up there. Good, right here, and we're just shooting away. If I got 2 people, I can be a little more bold with it. And it's off right there, so I just tip it like this with my foot. Just like that. It's just all that simple. The thing that's really critical with this light, when I teach this to people and they go home and try it, and they come back and they show me their pictures, well, I'm just not getting that look that you're getting. Number one, they're keeping the light way back here. They're being a little too cautious. Let me tighten that up. Here's the light. Here they are. That light, oh, it's going to take, it's f11. It's going to be fine. Funny thing about these lights, when this light is so broad, by the time it reaches you back there, it's going to be 5.6. But this light would hit you at f8 because it's condensed. Do you see the reflector? This light is condensed. For a candid light, it's going to be much stronger in the long run. This light's going to come out like this, this, and it's just going to drop off. Because I've got a technical one for Don. It's the inverse square law of light that says when light goes from A to B to C, from B to C, it's going to drop off 4 times as much as it did from A to B. So this light, if it's not in close, is going to be nothing. So what I'm doing with it is I'm bringing it in about 6 or 7 feet from my subject. Right in there, and I'm feathering it. If I point it right at them, blasts them out. It's really hot. What I do is I turn it like this. And it's just feathering way out in front of them. Matter of fact, do you have a flash meter there, Brymer? I'd like to show you that because it's hard to believe how much this light does go everywhere. I'm going to clear it for you. Turn it on. All right, let me just point this right at you. Okay, point it right to the camera. F8, 4. All right, clear the button on the side. And let's do it again. Now, instead of right at him, I'm going to take it and feather it. And you can see this light is going right out here in front of him. Same. 8.6. Let me feather it even more. Clear it again. Now I'm going way out in front of him. 4.4. Well, did you see? As I feathered it, it stayed the same. But what's happening? You're getting a better quality of light. Everyone will tell you, in any shape, form, anything, light is better when you use the edge of it. It's just like this. Put your arms around each other. Put your arms around each other. Put your cheeks together right there. Go to F16. Squeeze it so you can smile right there. Great. Great. And now with your dad. Now with your dad. Put your cheeks together right here. Great. Great. And with your brother right here. Hug him. Put your arm around him. Great. 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 I love it. Good. Your brother. There you go. Right there, guys. Right. All right. It's just like that. That's what I meant at the wedding. Let's just do it. Let's do it. And they come back in and they look at the pictures. I don't remember you taking those. All the time. They don't remember it because it's right after the ceremony. They're on a high. Monty's on the back doing the backlight. I got a good light man at that wedding. And he's back there backlighting the veil on every picture. And he's down there low, and I'm shooting the bride with her mother, with her sister, with her dad, with the groom, and I say, look at each other. Put your noses together, kiss. And that backlight gives you a profile light on both people. And it's really a fun light. You can do so much with this. So let me step back to these room lights one more time because I'm out of breath. Everyone gets the same questions. You know, I use these room lights. Do I need a reflector? Do I need to bounce them in the ceiling? How strong should they be? What I think, we're shooting F8, F11. Let's get about 5, 6 out of those lights.
And now we're adding another totally different dimension. Clay's shooting available light 35mm pictures. I may be in the back of the aisle getting a formal shot of the bride coming down the aisle with her father, and Clay's up front capturing this emotion. It's a great combination. We put 4 of those on a page, and look at the story it tells. 4 more 35mm available light during the ceremony, and then a wide-angle shot of the whole church. Too often people forget to show the church all the way up to the top, so you get the full view of the church sanctuary as the ceremony is going on. Now let's take a look at one complete wedding. Opening up the album, we have portraits of the bride. Some soft focus, some sharp. Each one a little bit different from the next. Here we've wrapped the veil around her, and then again, just combining 5x5s and 10x10s right next to each other. Head and shoulders, looking into the mirror. We have to keep the pictures moving so that the book remains interesting. Interior pictures of the home, full length, close up, giving everybody the idea of where the pictures were made, inside the front door, outside of her house. And then finally, we get pictures of her close up with the flowers, a portrait of the groom by himself, and now let's bring the two of them together. 3/4 length, close up, expressions. And now we bring the parents into the pictures. In case you haven't noticed it, all these close-up pictures are negative retouched at North American Photo. It's essential that when we do these close-up photographs, that we have everybody perfect. They don't want to see themselves as they are. They want to see themselves as they would like to be. And North American Photo is doing it for us. These portraits are all machine prints, but they're negative retouched. And then after we have the first picture made, we can get duplicates made without paying for retouching again. We're doing all the key people in as many different combinations as possible. Let's talk now about the groups on the altar. Let's talk about how we're lighting this, because what we're doing is very simple. We're actually putting one light to light the groups, another bare bulb behind them to open up the background, and then a long exposure to pick up a little bit of the ambient light all around them. So we have the picture of both families, and then we bring together the bride with all of her bridesmaids. Then we add the men to the picture for the portrait of the whole wedding group. Ask the girls to leave, we have the groom with his ushers. It's a follow-through. Now we go in for the story again, the signing of the license. And when we photograph them coming down the aisle, we have lights up in the balcony to illuminate the people in the background, so you get the picture of the overall view of what was going on. Here's the bride coming up to the altar, and then we have type L film to record the ceremony, all natural light. Finally, the kiss, and the groom carried the bride up the aisle, and Clay was there. Candids galore, the parents coming back, the huggy kisses. Everybody hugging each other, looking at the camera, smiling, laughing, crying, and family groups. You can't forget the aunts and the uncles and all their family pictures. These are big sellers. So we do set up these groups, even if it's as large as this one. Now we have to set the scene. All available light, type L. Sometimes we'll walk through the room with a flash to give it a little bit of extra punch. Now we have the parents coming into dinner and the bride and groom. Lit from behind, from above, and also a light on camera, maybe a candid light behind them to separate. Going from full crowd scenes with wide angles, coming in close, lots of faces, and they're always the friends, they're always the family, they're always the pictures that sell to the bride and the groom and to the parents. Here are the men. Then we have, again, different special groups that are requested. All of them done and mixed the different sizes. We could even put 3 on a page or 4 on a page, sometimes 2 on a page, but most of the time, full pages like this. Close up, wide angle, with lights lighting up all the people in the background. Sometimes they get in the pictures, and what do we say? The video lights. Big deal. When they pick up the bride and the groom on the chairs, Clay is there. When they pick up the parents, we're there too. These are not custom prints. These are machine prints the way they come back from North American Photo. Detail even in the cake. The brightest highlights were in there to capture the action and the reaction. We're spinning from one direction to another to tell the whole wedding story. The man toasting, the people watching. The bride throwing the bouquet, the people catching. All of this, of course, with multiple lights. And, again, lighting up the background. We love to finish with that picture of all the guests with the bride and the groom. And, of course, Leather Craftsman albums. There's nothing anywhere in the world that compares to this quality. Sometimes we have so many pictures we put them in a double volume in a slipcase, like you see in the background. Other times, all these different kind of books, including a video jacket that you see in the foreground. Look at the color samples. Everything to choose from. Leather Craftsman albums are above and beyond everything else that you can have. They allow you to put a double centerfold spread. We call it a panorama. North American prints is 12 by 24, so they fit into the album. It's perfect. If you're not already offering your customers these albums, give them a ring right now. Get these sample albums into the hands of your customers and watch your sales go up. You'll love it, and so will they. In his own inimitable way, Don showed us how he posed, how he lit, how he turned those lights at the proper angles, and just feathered the light exactly to create the portraits that he does. Watch.
Now, as I put this light straight through, by looking at camera position, that's where you will see it. Now, let me turn this light on. Clay, let's do this, and come back in like so. I need to step in front of you for one fast second, and I need to have beautiful Laura do this, and there, and turn it, just that much. Now, look what's happening. Clay, do me one favor. Let me see, just a minute, not quite yet, just a half a second. Let me come back at the accent and see exactly what's taking place here and here. There. Now you should see that. Now, Clay, if you'll step back at that position there, that's a little too strong. I did see it's too hot now. Now it's burning. Feather it slowly this way, Clay. There, that's it. That's it. Chin down, Laura. Now, look what's happening, kids. Look what's happening with the accent light, the bridge of the nose. And I'll repeat. The bridge of the nose through here, along the forehead line, in here, and along the lip line. Now, do me one favor, Clay. Turn that accent light off. Now you can see what happens. See that it's a neat photograph. You have a beautiful face like that. It's neat. Now, if you want to put, you know, the icing on the cake, the chrome on the Cadillac, and what have you, then you need to put that, you know, or the cherries on the nut sundae, you better believe it right there. That's giving the added punch, the added zest, or specularity, specular highlighting within a highlight. In my opinion, that light ought to be positively at the perpendicular or parallel to that subject. In this particular case, it's coming right straight in. See, or perpendicular to and parallel to that pretty face. Now, if you're doing the full length, the beautiful bridal, etc., then you would, and it was a full length, obviously, full length, then you got to move the light back a little bit. I'd open the barn doors up a little bit so that the barn door light is not in the photograph, all right? Then it needs to be dropped down parallel to the gown itself, or like at hip height. So it's just grazing past or coming in perpendicular to the light, or to the subject. 99% of the time in our studio, we will leave the diffusers in, because I think it's easier to see and it's easier to paint with the light. And in my opinion, you can get just as nice, if not nicer, because it's a soft tone. It's a diffused light. Do I ever take the diffusers off? Yes. If I'm doing a photograph like of Old Man River, you know what I mean, or something really, really deep in tone, low key, etc., you know what I mean? then you can take it off and punch the light in, and that's exactly what it'll do to you. Let's do it to it. And we put Norma Jean first, like so. We're going to have Norma Jean, and we're going to concentrate on light and positioning and posing, but with the lighting on two people as we've been doing. Dear, sit down here, like so, and turn this way. Sit nice and straight. Let me do you here, like so, there. Tip your head just that much. That much. All right, I'm going to turn off the accent light till we get ready to do our thing. By turning the accent light off, we're going to place the light on that beautiful face. You're absolutely gorgeous, dear. Okay, like so. All right, now, let's come in, and it's just a matter of, tell me your first name again, Dad. Pardon? Mark. In placing the subject, scoot Mark a tiny bit forward. Just that much. I don't care what age. I keep repeating. See, so that he is a tiny bit forward. So why? So that he can receive the light from the accent side. On the same side. That, or the accent light that's coming in. Mark, if you'll come in and just straddle the stool. Will you please? We want to keep the, let's see. Where's that, Clay? Where's that little footstool? Yeah, yeah. All right, now, Mark, sit just a little straighter, Daddy-O. Come in. That's it. Come in like so. And I keep repeating this situation. That's good, thanks. I keep repeating that I think in placing the subject, Monty mentioned it earlier, in placing the subjects, two people, togetherness, keep them togetherness so that there's no holes, you know what I mean, in between, and you can photograph each one individually. Let's try it. Let's try it. All right, we want to have Mark. See, he's getting carried away. He's leaning in too close to this sweet thing. I don't blame you one bit. However, now you can't do it. Norma Jean, put your right arm around Mark. That much. Okay? Let me do you here. Just leave it down there for 1 minute. Let's cheat a little bit now. Let me, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. Leave it there. It's all right. Let it come here. We're cheating just that much. Bringing this hand in here. Doubling up the fist. Just that much. There you go. Whenever you're posing, in my opinion, whenever you're posing the male side of the ledger, work, and hands are involved, work on the heel of the hand. Right back here. Then you don't have the fingers hanging down and so on and so forth. All right, let's try it. Norma Jean, bring this hand up now, like so. Let it do it here. Mr. Lenz wants to see the edge of the hand. That much. There and there. That's it. Just that much. There you go. Just that much. All right, so it's still blending and the bodies are together. Now let's try and put some light on them. This light the same way. If I blast that light, or I use this, whatever, softbox, etc., so on and so forth, and I'll exaggerate it that much. If I do it this way, it's a no-no. I'm burning up Norma Jean. So let's put the light, let's feather it like so. Let's feather the light, let it come in here like so. We're still going to use, Mr. Barndor, where are you? We're going to still feather that light the same way, see? But we're going to bypass beautiful Norma Jean and let it just pick up on Uncle Mark. So, in essence, we can make an economy-type print rather than a custom printing. Mark, raise your head, Daddy-O. Turn your head to your right. More. Tip your head to your left. You got it, you tiger, you. Look at me, Norma Jean, right there. All right, now Mark's face is just a tiny bit in front of Norma Jean's. Just a tad. All right, now here's what Monty wanted me to show you. By bringing this light in like so, let's retire the main light, and let's do this now, exactly the same principle of light. See, that light now is coming in and feathering that much. Am I going to blast the light this time on Norma Jean's shoulder? No. That's a no-no. See, I cannot burn it up. but I can feather and paint the light this way, keep it off of the shoulder, and let it come in and barely pick up the light on Mark's face and also on Norma Jean's. Let me come back at camera position, and let's take a look. You better believe it. Norma Jean, turn your head, dear. All girl, just stretch, tummy, bust, a little straighter. You got it. You got it. Right there. Now let's put the main light back on, and we can see what's happening. Into here. Right like that. Let me take a look. Clay, that's too hot. See? That's too hot on Norma Jean, feathered to me. Right there. Right there. That's it. Yeah. That's it. It's right there. Look, turn that off, Clay, for 1 second. Look now. Look along Mark's, the bridge of his nose. Okay? Look along the bridge of his nose. I'm going to step out of the way in just a minute. The bridge of his nose and along Sweet Thing's nose and cheek line. Let me step out of the way, turn it on now. That's the icing on the cake. In fact, I can raise that right here. Make sense? Makes sense. That to me, now the intersect of light is still exactly the same as though it were on one person. Let me do this just for illustration here and here. Boom, right here. Right here. Boom, right here. The intersect of light is here. It's forward in front of Norma Jean more so than normal because of the complexion differential here. Okay? See? But you can still make the regular economy print here all the way.
You don't have to refine it, but there are several things that I think that are very important that we see here. First of all, there is absolutely no contradiction between what Don says and what we do. His body and face are turned towards the source of light. Her body is turned away from it, and she's turning her head back to the light. She's pulling her right shoulder back to enable him to get in closer, and he's got their heads parallel, exactly what we discussed before. But here's some other things we have to look at. Look down below at what is not in the photograph. Look and see how the bodies were brought together. How his leg is opening up, leaving space for her to turn her body. It's important that you know how to build this from the bottom all the way up. Even to the fact that he lifted his leg up a little bit on this stool. Why? To make this a comfortable line right here where he could rest his hand on his leg. Another thing, we were discussing earlier when I was doing close-ups that we'd have like his mouth at about the level of her eyes. Or when we came in more closely, still for very romantic pictures, their lips were together. Look at the height difference now. Why is there such a big height difference? Because look how much more of the body is being shown. Because we're going 3/4 lengths, it's necessary to extend his height even more above hers. So all these things fit together. The puzzle is sort of like getting more and more locked together. Everything we're doing is working together to give you the overall picture. As you show more and more the body, it's all right to have the space between the heads. As you get closer and closer, if this were a head and shoulder picture and you were getting his head in, she'd be dropping out of the bottom.